And once more, we start to wonder who will sit alone at the top, TJ. After today, only one player will be undefeated.
You are correct. This is the featured matchup of today, Dan. Remember when we used to do featured matchups?
We did. Rodan's Friday feature match of the day. Yep.
Yeah. We had the featured matchup of the day. We had TJ's featured match of the day, and then TJ's Frodan's featured match of the day. Every match ended up being a featured match of the day. It's just which one it was. But yeah, both these players, actually quite a few differences in their lineups. The one is that bloodyface is actually playing Face Hunter. And in that slot, Gallant is playing the Rogue. He has Highlander Rogue. And then the other difference is in just the construction of their Zoo Warlocks, where Gallant is playing the more like board-focused version with Evil Genius and Serpent Egg, while bloodyface is playing kind of a mix with additional 1-drops, but Wolf Riders as a charge minion. So it doesn't have the Serpent Egg Evil Genius package, but instead plays like Guardian Aug Merchant, Double Abusive Sergeant, and the Wolf Riders at the top end. So 2 different takes on Zoo that may come up at some point in this series, but Gallant's going to start things off with the Highlander Rogue, and he was on this last week, and it looked pretty promising. I mean, obviously he's 3-0, so it makes sense that the deck is promising since he's brought it both of the weeks that he's played. But it's kind of weird to think that a deck that, you know, by nature, with only having one of each card, is not consistent. It does seem like Highlander Rogue as a whole is more consistent than the Galakron Secret Rogue.
Yeah, and that sounds weird because you're playing a deck of one-ofs. How is it more consistent by any means? And when we talk about consistent, we're not talking about the consistent draws. That is not what this deck does whatsoever. It's more consistent in its overall macro plan, where it can play defensive and go late into the game. And what it's consistent at doing is turning the game. So the big problem with Secret Rogue was something that Saiyan actually encountered in the middle of that series, which was he had an opportunity to maybe develop big or to figure it out, but his hand was like 5 secrets and nothing else really. He had like 1 minion to play. And that's not really what Rogue traditionally has excelled at, which is like the incremental value stuff. Rogue has been the kind of class that when you give it a small opening, it will start to explode onto the board and threaten to kill you, and then use a bunch of single target removal with saps and other things to get past your taunts and then kill you. And Highlander Rogue does exactly that because they have 2 extremely powerful cards at just turning on the gas if they need to, with Zephyrus and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, and also can use it defensively. And then to top it all off, they have opportunities to add even more fuel to the fire through like Zephyr Shadow Step. So it's more consistent with its ability from a bird's eye view. But game to game, Highlander Rogue, of course, still has the same struggles as every Highlander deck, which is, can you draw the right half of your deck, or are you playing Overconfident Orc and Blazing Battle Mage and Bone Wraith and hoping that you can win the game eventually?
Hey, Dan. Those are good cards.
Yeah, those are solid cards. And if I am, playing for my 12th win in Arena, those are like the best possible cards you can play. But they are just what they do. They just provide some stats on the board, and that's it.
Yeah, they have insane value.
Let the hunt begin.
Well, we'll see how it shakes out. Bloodyface starting off with Face Hunter, and little differences to the list that we saw from Empanizato earlier. Not much, though. The biggest one is Bloodyface is playing the additional 1-drops. He's got Blazing Battle Mage and Dwarven Sharpshooter instead of the Leper Gnomes at that 1 slot. And he's also playing a Dragon Bane, which I believe is in place of like a tracking that you normally see in the deck, like the 2nd tracking. So tend to like this one a little better because 1-drops are good. Look at this, Dan.
Love it.
He drew the right half of his deck.
He drew the right half of his deck. And you know what, TJ? I'm going to go on a limb and say it might not matter.
Okay.
I'm just
Prison
going to say that.
Felma.
Because, yes, Coin in Prison Felma is very hard to deal with if you're Gallon. And also, Bloodyface has a couple of opportunities here. Actually, he has 4 different ways that he can play this early game. 2 of them seem significantly weaker than the other, which is Coin Scavenger's Ingenuity, and the reason why is because he already drew 1 Face Stalker.
Yeah.
But TJ, I've said this before. Every time I did not put out Prison Felma as fast as I could, I've regretted it.
Yeah, you just do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have the coin, you have Imprisoned Felmaw. I don't care what 1-drop you have.
Yes.
Do it.
Yeah, it's just a lot of stats. And it forces your opponent to remove. And the best part about it is that it's one of Face Hunter's highest value cards because it forces them to use 2 cards into 1, with the upside as you might get to deal damage to the face. Gallon! He's going for the Zephyrs on curve. With an Animal Companion.
He does this a lot. We've seen him go in his matches on Friday, I believe it was. We saw him go for Zephyrs on 2. Picked Power Word Shield with Coin Edwin in hand, and the next turn went Pharaoh Cat, Power Word Shield, Coin Edwin Van Cleave.
Yeah.
It was insane. Zephyrs, that's just the flexibility of the card. In that situation, Gallon's like, well, he used his coin. He played Imprisoned Felmaw, which has a couple turns before it activates. So I'm just going to, move up my own curve and pick the strongest thing I can do on turn 3, which in this case is Animal Companion.
The fires of vengeance burn bright.
Bloodyface's blazing Blattle Mage. A little nice. Gets the Toxic Reinforcements up. Plays next turn are a little awkward for him. Still a turn away from being able to play Phase Stalker and the Hero Power to guarantee that Explosive Trap out of his deck.
Ooh, okay. That's a good one.
The Mish.
Except the Felmont doesn't obey the rules of taunt.
Oh! That's the place. Sign me up.
Yeah, so this was the downside of Bloodyface's play, which was if he double 1-drop develops, he is going to float a Mana Crystal this turn unless he lands. Yeah. I've also like thought about it a lot, and the thing is, you have to play Face Hunter as if the next draw in your deck is the best card. Because it's so tight and narrow with how you have to use your mana. So Bloodyface was playing as if the next card was like the other Battle Mage. Or he was playing as if he had like the opportunity to get the draw that he wanted to on curve here. Oh my.
Well, Zixer is really the only one that makes sense, because it's the only one that he'll likely even have time to play. Varanus,
yes.
It's a big dragon, sure, but Hunter's not really playing many minions that you get a ton of value out of by reducing to 1 health. And it's just your whole turn. Gallon is actually close to lethal damage.
Well, I mean, this actually makes sense. So Bloodyface's Explosive Trap will say you have to trade to this board, which relieves the pressure, because he's actually behind on board. thanks to that Zephyr situation. Oh my goodness.
So many options.
I'm thinking about a lot of things right now. I'm thinking about if I just want a blackjack stunner here now.
Yeah, Blackjack Center on Prison Felmaw means that card it's effectively a kill.
Yeah, well, I mean, the best part about it is that he gets to eviscerate and set up 2-turn lethal. But bloodyface's second face stalker, that's the key.
Leopardome still ain't coming out here, though. I believe there's still one more steady shot.
Right, because he played on 2, floated on 3, hero powered for the first time on 4. And again, I think that is one of the hardest things about Toxic Reinforcements. But, I think Toxic Reinforcements might be one of the harder cards to play in the game.
Yeah,
I know it sounds really silly to say because it's like, well, you just hit the button. Like, come on, man. But you have to like understand what the game is gonna look like in 3 turns, and for Face Hunter to plan that out, it could look like so many different things depending on what your opponent's average draw versus their best draw versus their worst draw is.
Yeah.
Not to mention, of course, that you're trying to fill out your curve. But Bloodyface has floated 2 mana crystals, and he's only been given 15 this game so far, and that's a huge percentage to be floating.
So many options.
Alan just loading up.
Yeah, and wow, that's actually totally okay. Bloodyface can now just play defensive here. And now go in with that bow.
Yeah. It's a 2-turn lethal setup from him. The
Right.
Leopard Gnome's on board. What's it down to 14?
I really like this. I really like this instead of just like trying to be super defensive. I think the first instinct from a lot of players might be to get even more value off that explosive trap and say use the arcane shot on the Zixor. But Bloodyface kind of recognizes there is an opening for a 2-turn lethal. Now, Gallon does have that Shadow Step, which incidentally might be huge. There's a couple of different ways you can use the Shadow Step, too. You can freeze your opponent's face with the Shadow Weaver. You could black... Oh, no, he just had a secret pop, so I guess there's less.
He could freeze and set up Kronks.
Yeah, the only thing is that you really wanted to play Tiamat this turn, didn't you?
Yeah, but I mean, Kronk serves the same purpose of setting up the 2-turn.
Right. It's true, and you get to gain a little bit of armor in case your opponent just like plays full defensive.
Yeah.
This is pretty stressful.
Return is nigh.
Opponent has put you down at 8 effectively. Bloodyface only has 7 mana crystals.
Stone Tusk Boar's
Whoa!
lethal! Oh, look at that. Coming in hot.
Oh! And, he had an opportunity to fish for it with the tracking as well. But yes, the exact damage for lethal. Every single hit point mattered. Well played on both sides. I actually really like the way that both these players approached it. Yeah. The one caveat is that it's really scary when Bloodyface loaded up on turn 2 and then had nothing for 3 to make it smooth. It was really convenient. I think that could once more be something that like needs to be thoroughly analyzed. And I'm sure the number one thing that I think about again is what's the most likely draw, and you have to be thinking about that a lot. When you're playing this deck.
Yeah,
picking up a 1-drop would have made that play looked really, really, really smart.
Yeah. Though that was also, I mean, that's very likely to be at least a tie from Bloodyface with a tracking in hand, even at 8. He tracks and picks up Kill Command. He puts him at 2. It's a tie. Tracks and picks up Stone Toast Boar. He wins. Tracks and picks up Scavenger's Ingenuity. He Scavenger's Ingenuity, Stone Toast Boar, Kill Command. So there was a lot of outs. Unleash the Hounds also would have forced a tie. Actually, I think it was guaranteed to at least be a tie that turn from Bloodyface. I can't think of many cards in his deck that wouldn't have allowed him to set up for at least a tie. Interesting.
Fair enough. That would have been also a pretty interesting thing to think about. But for now, that leads us to our next intermission, TJ. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to finish out the series between these two undefeated players, Gallon versus Bloody.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's largest 5G network. Switch to T-Mobile today.
Language Hacker, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, Subtle, thank you for having me.
Oh, no, the pleasure is mine.
I assure you, Subtle, the pleasure is all mine.
Would you like to have a seat?
Yeah, sure. After you, of course.
Oh, no, you're the guest. You sit.
I don't think I can. I need you to sit down, Subtle.
Okay. No, really,
Subtle, please just sit down.
okay, together. 3, 2, 1, sit.
Okay.
3.
On sit or on one?
We go 3, 2, 1, sit on 0.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, sit. Damn it. 1-0 to me, hi. Actually, before we get started, do you want a bottle of water or anything I can get for you?
No, thank you, but I actually did just make you some hot tea. I know it's your favorite.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, it's good. You forgot the lemon.
Don't forget the lemon.
Damn, this guy's good. I gotta focus.
How's Grace?
Oh, she's great. Thanks for asking. How does he know my wife's name?
And Kupo and Shinx?
And how on earth does he know the names of my cats? Oh, they're good. That's incredible. You don't forget anything, do you?
Well, Subtle, we Canadians like to remember things about our friends.
That's so sweet. I don't know what to say. Wow, I didn't even realize we were friends.
You don't have to say anything, Subtle. I'm just happy to be here with my 4th favorite caster.
Wow, what a guy. Wait, 4th? What the
Game number 2 between Gallon and Bloodyface is about to begin here, as we have currently Bloodyface up 1-0. Facehunter able to get the dub, And the Highlander Rogue struggled a little bit to just stop the pressure. So as we go into game number 2, question remains, will Rogue's performance continue to plummet? That's 4 losses in a row on broadcast here, TJ.
Though it is a Highlander Rogue this time, so hard to lump it into exactly the same category as the Secret Rogue. But yeah, it's struggling to the aggression. Just can't stabilize quick enough, even though we've had multiple games where there's been like lethal on the other side the turn that it died. These matchups tend to live on a knife's edge like that anyway, so that's not really any consolation to the Rogue player. Gallon going to switch things up here and go with his Zoo Warlock. Bloodyface on Demon Hunter this time around. Zoo Warlock from Gallon, I mentioned it earlier, does have the Evil Genius and Serpent Egg as opposed to Charge Minions. Also runs Kamathat Ebonlock, which he might be the only player in America is doing it, or one of the only players in America is doing it. Sunfear Protectors are taking that slot essentially in Muzzy and Sand's list. Bloodyface has the Wolf Riders in his own zoo. It is an interesting choice. One that I disagreed with, and I said my reasonings yesterday. Went on a pretty long rant about why. But Gallon seems to be sticking on it. He has brought it the last couple weeks, so he must be having some success with it. And every single individual player that has brought Warlock this weekend has said at one point or another that they think that their version is the best and that they have success with their version. Someone has to be wrong, Dan.
Nope.
Yes.
This is Hearthstone. Everybody can be right.
No. That's just
They're
not
just
how any of this
unlucky,
works.
TJ. They're right, but they're just unlucky. They're happy with their plays.
Yeah.
And that settles that.
Yeah. Everybody's correct.
Yeah,
Despite
it's
10 different Zoo Warlock decks.
oh yeah, it's the magical 4 words to exonerate you after any performance. Happy with my plays. Say that, I believe. Then yeah, I mean, all memes aside, a lot of the players, they do practice a lot and they do put a lot of time in, and there is justification to their logic. We actually during that break I browsed a little bit of Twitter, as you do. And I saw Nagadown talking about his previous series that he played against Eddie earlier today, and talking about how even though there is criticism against the Charge Zoo, he had a lot of stats and data and kind of put out a little thread about his thoughts on his lineup and how if he was given the same opportunity, he probably would bring it again. Obviously, the meta is going to change, but he said that he's just going to go with his gut. And he's played the deck a lot, he's studied a lot, watched a lot, and just felt like it was good. It obviously did not pan out for him today, but I think that's the kind of stuff that, in the end, you can't just go based off what popular opinion. If you do what everybody else does, TJ, you have at best a 50% win rate. I guess before any kind of technical play comes into it.
Yeah.
But,
Well, the thing that confuses me the most before we talk about this game, Gun, is Scrap bin put a bunch of stats on board to fight for tempo early game.
I grow
Is that
impatient.
everybody's claiming the same thing, so you can't say that you're going with the grain or against the grain when everybody's doing something different.
and claiming that they are right.
Everybody's
They
everybody's
feel justified.
Yes, everybody's doing different things. I've seen stats from many different players because I've been trying to get to the bottom of this and see which zoo is better.
Demons?
And it seems like everybody's coming to different conclusions that their list is better. But what I'm looking for is the player that tests all of them and then aggregates that data and then chooses one based off that.
Grows short.
Because by practicing and having success with one, you don't see the benefits or the detriments of the others. You just get in this echo chamber that you're continuously just having success with the one deck and not potential success with another version of it. There's been a couple players that have changed their opinion, RDU being one of them, after practicing with Gallon, saying that he thinks that Charge Zoo is not the way. But then there's players that practice with players who don't think that Charge Zoo is the way, but then bring Charge Zoo because they liked it better. I think War Control is an example of that. So it's a conundrum, Dan, and I don't know. I just it might be null and void after this weekend because maybe we just never see Zoo again. Oof.
Well, I mean, when you get this kind of opening, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
This is
I mean,
absolute stomp.
starting this week, that Shield Bear is only going to be a 4/7. So
What must be done?
Hey.
4/6.
that's +2/+1, isn't it?
Yeah, you got double buff.
Oh, we got double up. You're actually right. I gave way too much credit to Shield Bearer there.
But look at that, despite all of that, Altruist brings it back from the depths, and Nagan's like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I just play the rest of this game like with a normal Zoo Warlock. Ooh, Dragon Ball Skystalker is interesting to me here.
Yeah, but at the same time, Brightwing he can play this turn.
Yeah, but he's not killing Altruist, so
He would kill Altruist. He has a 4-attack Shield Bearer on the board.
oh, you're right.
He would just be playing Brightwing. And maybe Titanic lackeying it, but that could give him value. Whereas, if he picks Dragon Ball Skystalker, he probably plays Serpent Egg Titanic Lackey this turn. Blocks some damage, maybe get a 3/4, and then has an on-curve play on 6 with Skystalker. But does Gallon feel like he can win the game with just reasonably statted minions? Or does he think he needs to reach into Brightwing's bag of special gifts and pull out something incredible? Like a puzzle box of Yogg-Saron. Which would happen by getting Solarian Prime, and then, Solarian Prime would pull it out of the deck, play a bunch of random spells, puzzle box included.
Yes, that is
Bada bing, bada boom.
that is indeed a very small possibility.
Instead, he
Quite
chooses a measly 5/6.
Part of me wonders if Gallon should have considered saving the Titanic Lackey for Dragon Ball Skystalker, but I don't think that would have been that much more helpful here. Gallon has to think about the worth of going face, but he's pretty close to lethal. Bloodyface needs to find just a little bit extra damage here. Both players kind of off to the races. Oh, that's swing and a miss.
All I see is weakness.
This is a tough one. I think you can justify ignoring a lot of this board here, because no matter what you do, you're going to be dead to a Soulfire. So I think if I'm Bloodyface, I might just go face with everything.
We're with
I mean, that's what Gallon's doing.
Right. I guess you
he's-
could bump one of the 1/1s. Yeah.
He's still
Very
giving Gallon a
least.
Soulfire out.
Yeah. There's no matter what he does, there's the Soulfire out. Gallon should be tapping here, right?
I mean, is there any breakpoints that he plays around? I don't think so.
At least not what's presented on board, because if he picks up a 1-drop with his Magic Carpet, that's also really impactful, because then he gets to set up the Shield Bear. That's one of the hardest draw. That's probably the worst draw. Besides, like, Canticle. Yikes.
shall not pass.
That is not good. Wow, and Bloodyface has draws for lethal with Skull of Gul'dan, because he discounts Metamorphosis down to 2. There's possible ways for him to get there. It's not that he needs a little bit more than that, but it's possible.
Oh!
He's 1 damage off.
Yep.
Goes for the Skull Gul'dan, recognizing that probably more important that I try to find a defensive option here. Find the Glaive-bound Adepts.
Oh my god. It's still he's just slightly off every regard. He sets up a 2-turn no matter what. It's just I don't think there's a way for him to set up a 2-turn and not die to Soulfire. Oh wait, no, there is.
Yes, if he Glaive-bound Adepts the minion.
Yes, he would have to Glaive-bound Adept the minion.
Right. He does end up doing it. Where's your Stone Dust Boars now? Okay. So Gallon has to win this turn. There's very little possibility that Evil Genius with the lackeys can bail him out. Sees nothing, sees an expired merchant. That's really weak.
Still some possibilities, but it involves the best Evil Genius on the planet. It would have to be Kobold Lackey, then a Thero Lackey into damage.
Draconic Lackey? Nope. And that's it.
I have no idea how Bloodyface won that game.
I will say 3 words. Altruist, the outcast.
Yep.
That's how. Gallon had pretty much one of the best hands he could ever ask for, and then Bloodyface just had the goods. And so that does it. Bloodyface up 2-0. And what do you know? Tight play with some fortunate draws. Bloodyface up two games right now over Gallon. I admire the completely white wall, followed by a slightly misplaced, or I guess like tilted angle, Bloodyface place card for his for his name. It's kind of funny.
It's his only decoration. That's all he needs, Dan. My only decoration in this entire room is the green screen that's behind me that they turn blue when we go live. I'm in a giant empty room with a green screen. I'm isolated. I have a cage around me, so my dogs can't knock over said green screen.
That's right. That's right. I've actually discovered a new power, TJ. I've discovered how to manipulate my own green screen by creating a virtual cam, so I could also have a little bit of fun too.
Oh,
of course,
I could do it too. Our production team would just get very mad at us.
Oh yeah, they would be. But I mean, it would be a really funny 5 seconds on broadcast.
Well, in fact, at the beginning, we were going to do it ourselves. We were going to put backgrounds ourselves. And they showed me how to set up the virtual cam. They set it up for me. They dug their own grave, Dan. I have an array of different backgrounds. I could teleport anywhere I wanted to in the world right now at the click of a button. But I won't.
Do it, TJ. You won't.
I won't because I like casting.
Fair enough.
And doing that would probably mean I wouldn't do it anymore. All right, Bloodyface. Let's see how his Zoolog's going to fare. Pretty similar. Additional 1-drops in the deck, as I mentioned, with Guardian Og Merchant. And all the 1-drops that he does play, he plays 2-ofs. He just has the Wolf Riders instead of, Serpent Egg and Evil Genius. So, this one I feel is decent. Wolf Rider, I feel like just fits the goal of charge minions more. It still tends to be Trade Rider in a lot of matchups, but in slower matchups, we have seen it just, get off to the races. So, ready to ride. And
that was what's missing from Gallon's deck.
Yeah.
To be honest, he just didn't have the burst damage. It's kind of funny how that works, right?
Yeah. Didn't have the burst damage. But the deck from Bloodyface doesn't have many proactive board plays. The only 1-drop that feels decent to play on turn 1 is Blazing Battle Mage.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
Abusive Sergeant definitely does not feel good to play on turn 1. In fact, I'm just wondering what's the point in general in doing that. Trying to think of what it's playing into. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to try and solve it.
No worries, TJ.
No.
In the meantime,
Why?
Gallon picks up Shadow Step, which is a core card for capitalizing off of Zephyrus, the greatness.
I wonder.
This is a position where I think because your opponent's played so passive, you got to think about the value of dirty tricks, and your opponent isn't really a spell-based deck, but they will play the coin eventually. Also, this kind of messes with Bloodyface and his thinking of, do I end up going for a minion and playing around ambush, or do I just ignore the secret?
I wonder.
All the secrets are just as likely because it's a Highlander deck. There's only one of each.
Wow. This is probably the most tapping we'll see Zoo Warlock do in a hot minute. The moment he unlocks a Scrap Imp, the hand will be great, but if you don't have it, well, I mean, what's he going to do? He's just going to pass.
Yeah, and this is what I was kind of talking about is these lists are more all in on Scrap Imp and Hand of Gul'dan than some of the lists that have like Flame Imp and Evil Genius
I
and
wonder.
Serpent Egg that they can just play on the board for at least some presence.
What do you think Zephyrus offers in this position?
Probably the Chaplain.
Yep. Plus 2
A
health.
play for next
Plus
turn, a
health.
Temple Enforcer. I don't know, 3 Priest cards.
So many options.
Power Word Shield, somehow.
Temple Enforcer, the Guarantor Chaplain, I think is what it's called, and then Cold Blood? I don't know. I don't know the third one.
I wonder.
What a weird start to this game. Unusual, to say the least. Neither player choosing to do much.
Bloodyface is probably happy. Like, well, he's not happy at his hand because he hasn't drawn Scrap Imp or Hand of Gul'dan. Oh yeah, ready to ride.
Yeah, it is pretty strong.
Is it?
The Wolf Rider?
So
I mean,
It's 3 mana, deal 3 damage.
that's what else do you really want?
How about a card that buffs all the minis in my hand by +2/+2?
I don't know what else you can really do here.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, it's just honestly the only thing he can really do. And he's not really incentivized to play like Voidwalker or Beaming Sidekick because everything still just gets traded down the board. Benefit of Voidwalker is that what it will likely do is force some more damage. Okay, now we got ourselves a turn.
Okay.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Gallon can go in. King Mukla?
Huh?
What?
Oh, because it sees that your hand is their opponent's hand's like kind of full.
Mukla, don't do that. I mean, that's the first time I've ever seen
Oh,
Zephyrs offer King
jeez.
Mukla.
That's funny. Very corner case scenario, but
Yep, Bloodyface knows what's up now.
see, the thing is, if he played Zephyrus again, now he can play Mukla. Or rather, he can pick Mukla. He can play Edwin Van Cleef. Or he can just pick another Van Cleef.
Is it worth
Either
it?
way.
Is it worth playing Zephyrs again, though?
Oh, I think you can save it for a lethal, actually, next turn.
Yeah.
Play Edwin.
This is a 10-10?
It's an 8-8.
Oh, yeah, 8-8. So next turn, Wind Fury, that'll be 16. Eviscerate, 20. If he taps, he's dead. Oh, nope, Shield Bearer.
Okay. I mean, he wasn't going to die too because he had the Garden Hog.
No, he was dead to just Wind Fury Eviscerate. Even if the Spy Mistress dies.
That's an upgrade. Probably.
Wow, well, Bloodyface's Control Warlock finally gets onto the board.
Show blessings, mates.
He's gonna play another
Van
Edwin!
Cleef. Wow.
Oh, jeez. It's another 8-8 too, I think.
Yeah, you thought that was bad.
Oh,
This is so
jeez.
interesting. It's kind of like Rogue was just playing Mountain Giants turn 5 and turn 6.
I know.
So we talked about how the overall range of this deck is pretty dynamic. Bloodyface concedes, and that is the power of the Highlander Rogue. If you can get that Zephyrus going, finally, DJ, the bleeding stops. Rogue gets a W.
Yep. Whew. And it feels like most of Gallon's wins with that Highlander Rogue is doing like crazy Zephyrus plays. Like sometimes next level, like the turn 2 Totem Golem, or the turn 1 Totem Golem for tempo that he did in week 1, or I think it might have been Swiss. And then the setup with Power Word Shield for the Edwin Van Cleef in his matchup earlier this week. Zephyrus and Edwin are best buds.
They're homies for sure. And you can see that Zephyr Shadow Step, as we were talking about, is super important for the flexibility of Rogue's plays. I mean, Zephyrus had essentially just created another Van Cleef while also giving him a bunch of other opportunities to combo, right? Like, it's the fact that he also has another card from different class to help give him Vendetta activation so he can play all the cheap things. There's just a lot of good stuff in that deck.
All right. Let's get things underway here. The Zoo Mirror matchup. On paper, I would consider Gallon a favorite in the Mirror matchup. Even the players that bring Charge Zoo think that one of the biggest disadvantages of it is that it's bad in the Zoo Mirror, where your opponent is running the more board-centric package. Oftentimes you can't afford to hold on to minions because you're fighting for tempo so aggressively. So, we'll see. Oftentimes, you know, it doesn't really matter in the Mirror matchup because one player usually just runs away with the game, regardless of what cards they have in their deck, because the deck hinges on these draws so wildly of Imprisoned Scrap Imp and Hand of Gul'dan. So it's hard to call one deck a favorite in a matchup like that when it's so volatile, regardless of individual tech conclusions.
Yeah, very much so. It's like how a lot of Rogue mirrors could also just end up turning to who has the Edwin Van Cleef power play
Yeah.
a little bit quicker, and does the opponent have the response?
Yep.
There is so much untapped power in this world.
Hey, I got you, friend.
And bloodyface getting on board first. Could end up meaning that he does get the ability to just keep pushing damage here.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's just a matter of protecting these minions
The
and keep
light
pushing.
protects me.
Probably a Shield Bearer and Soulfire onto the camera with that Ebon Lock. Just to protect
like
the
it.
Wolf Rider and keep on trucking away.
Such a fate.
Loses the Nightshade Matron, which does hurt. I think he was really hoping for that to come into play here.
But he still has activation. What's the pickup from Gallon?
You
All right.
Scrap Imp number 2,
I think
which
he wants to-
honestly, ooh, yeah. If he discarded the other Scrap Imp,
Yeah. Bloodyface still has activation for Hand of Gul'dan should he draw it, but right now it's a 2 and 22. So pretty unlikely.
Get in there and fight, maggot.
But he's just going to keep going wide, and eventually he'll open to pick up Hand of Gul'dan and hope that Gallon just can't continue to draw.
jeez. Doesn't have anything really reliable here. Magic Carpet would just be to withstand the board pressure.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this feels a lot like classic zoo battles.
Yeah. Ooh. So these are the situations where if you think back, Dan, to our T-Mobile deck spotlight from earlier in the day, why I love the Sun Fury Protector inclusion so much. Because in situations like this where neither player has like the crazy start with Hand of Gul'dan Scrap Imp, and you're trying to fight for board, Bloodyface would not have the opportunity to kind of try and race past you. You just Sun Fury Protector an Egg or Magic Carpet or this big Nightshade Matron and get value off of that. All right, that's the worst draw on the deck.
Jeez. Oh, but he finds a 1-drop.
He's almost dead.
The fires of
Yeah. I wonder how much it would have been different if Gallon pushed damage last turn, because then... Oh, jeez.
I mean, now he's just dead the whole game to a Soulfire.
Right. Can't tap anymore. He's just too far behind in life total.
Yeah, because Bloodyface could push 7 here. Yeah, and he's dead to a Soulfire the whole game. Gallon would have 1 more tap.
Right.
And would have to clear off the entire board, and would be dead to Soulfire for the remainder of the game.
That being said, he does have like 2-turn lethal opportunities if he can just connect with his mage into the face. He keeps putting it on trade duty.
Yeah.
So hard because he's been trying to withstand the pressure.
Useful thing.
If I'm Bloodyface, I'm probably... Oh, he can go double Wolf Rider. Oh, yeah, this is way better. So now Gallon needs a taunt.
Yeah, wow. Where are your 1-drops, man? That's gonna do it. Gallon draws dead here at the last few turns, and that's gonna wrap up the series. Bloodyface stands alone at the top 4-0 of Division A. And that is going to end the week for both of these players. Bloodyface once more, after 2 more weeks of round robin, looks very much primed. I believe he is guaranteed to go to playoffs now with that win. So the first player from Division A to lock in the spot. And it's only fitting, right? This guy, second in the Global Finals last year, the best performing player in the championships for HCT in the previous year. It's just a really consistent few years here for Bloodyface, year over year, proving that he is very good and very consistent.
Yeah, quite impressive, honestly. And yeah, standings not updated yet. But yeah, that was the battle for first place, as you could see. And Bloodyface comes out on top and does it in the mirror matchup, no less. So his lineup this week definitely paying off with another 2-0 week. And bloodyface. I'm trying to think. Is bloodyface a player that has done well in new metas?
He's done well in all kinds of metas. He did get to top 8 at the World Championship right after the Rise of Shadows launch last year.
Yep.
And he's also played in really established metas. He's also played post-patch, where it's like a big nerf, and he's also done really well. So he's a very versatile player, and I think he's definitely one of the favorites heading into the playoffs, as I believe it would take an extraordinary series of events for him to not make the playoffs. So we're just going to say virtually guaranteed for now. In the meantime, we're going to finish up Division A matches right now, and we're going to enter Division B matches for the second half of our broadcast. Coming up next, we have Papa Jason and PNC, and then we'll wrap up with Soleil versus Muzzy. And just like that, Week 5 will be in the books. We're going to take our halftime break, so we're going to take several minutes now. But when we return, we're going to get the second half of today's matches with Division B underway. So don't go anywhere. Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas, brought to you by T-Mobile, will continue right after these messages.